Welcome to the Black Belt Model Lecture 5. Today we're going to be looking at entry techniques. So you already know the basics of the model and the function of the black belt. Now you need to know how you can actually enter. We covered in one of the previous episodes how you can utilize an S&T divergence to give you an entry and more conviction in the trade. But today is going to be a little bit broader, so you can encompass any type of PD array that you are already familiar with and enter based on that. Now, when you're looking at entries, it's not just about here's a fair value gap, let me buy it because there's a black belt in the marketplace. You have to have your narrative conviction in the trade actually playing out first, and then you can enter. Because an entry alone, a fair value gap, an order block, a propulsion block alone isn't going to carry the trade. It has to be based on the narrative. So is there a black belt present? Yes. Is there an opening range gap that we're looking for it to reprice into? Yes. Is there an S&T? There doesn't need to be an S&T, but if there is, even better. And then based on that, where do I enter? Do I need more or less confirmation? If there's not such a strong narrative, I may need more confirmation, and a fair value gap alone isn't enough. I may demand a reaction from the fair value gap that proves strength, or an inversion fair value gap, or a change in state of delivery, or a market structure shift, or I may demand a first presented fair value gap, or I may even demand an S&T. So the entry that you will intend to use isn't just going to be based on let me buy this fair value gap. It's based on how strong is this move? How likely is it to follow the model? How likely is it to trade up into the opposite end of the pre-market range? And then is it likely from there to keep going because of how strong it is? If yes, I can enter on something that's not necessarily the best entry mechanism. So I don't need to wait for a market structure shift and an inversion fair value gap and change state of delivery. I can just enter on a fair value gap because of how strong price is moving and how likely and how much conviction I have in the trade playing out. But if I'm slightly less convinced and I'm thinking, well, I can see that happening, however, there's also the possibility that it may not reach the opposite end of the pre-market range and it's not showing me the strength necessary because maybe there's an opening range gap below you and it opened lower and it's trading lower into the opening range gap. It might be doing that. So then I would demand something stronger. So not just a fair value gap, I may demand a market structure shift and an inversion fair value gap. Or I may demand an S&T, or I may demand anything that's stronger than a regular PD array. So you want more conviction, you have to wait for more confirmations. Now, confirmations in a retail sense would be like EMA crossovers, essentially waiting until half the move has happened, until it looks like, oh, it's gone up a lot, it's probably going to go up the rest of the way. That's not what I mean by confirmation. Confirmation is demanding certain things to occur. So demanding a market structure shift, that is a form of confirmation. Demanding an inversion fair value gap is a form of confirmation because it gives you the idea that it's more likely to reverse and follow your trade idea. The black belt model does not rely on one singular entry model. We do not trade patterns. Entries reveal themselves through points of reference and reactions, including signatures of strength and weakness. What this means is kind of what I said earlier, but there's also more. You can't just pattern trade this model. It's not like that at all. If you're trading the 930 open and you try to pattern trade it, just think about it logically for a moment. If there was a way that you could pattern trade it, everyone would have an algorithm by now that does that and they would just be a billionaire. There's no pattern trading with this model or any model ever, but especially with this one. That 930 open is a very volatile time, and if you try to pattern trade it, you will get your face torn off. We do not trade patterns. When I say we do not rely on one singular entry model, that means if you only rely on a fair value gap. The reason that's a flawed way of approaching this is this isn't an everyday model. This only happens once or twice a week. Sometimes more, sometimes not even at all. But it happens once or twice a week. And if you only look for one type of PD array to be there, you'll miss most of the trades because there won't always be a fair value gap. There won't always be breaker block. There may not always be an order block, but there will be at least one of those three. And there may not always be an S&T, there may not be an inversion fair value gap, but there will be some of those things. So it's important you're familiar with all of them because then you can look at entering not only on a fair value gap, on an order block, on a propulsion block, on an S&T divergence. There are so many ways that we can take entries as ICT traders. You want to be familiar with as many of them as possible. And not just, again, it's not about pattern trading the order block. When I say entries reveal themselves through points of reference and reactions, when you look at that opening range gap and it's rejecting the lower quadrant of a 200 handle opening range gap, it's just taking out the pre-market low and you're looking at the pre-market high. That's going to satisfy your black belt. That gives you enough information and narrative to look for the pre-market high to be traded to, because not only do you have a black belt, you have a signature of strength because it's rejecting a certain level inside the opening range gap. And that gives you context and narrative around what type of entry you can take. So you may demand or not need as many things to fall into place for your entry. It may just be, okay, here's the fair value gap, everything's in place, I can just buy the fair value gap and I'm good. Points of reference and reactions, I'm referring to new day opening gaps, opening range gaps, other first presented fair value gaps, opening prices. These are all very useful tools that you can use. When you have a new day opening gap on your chart and it takes out the pre-market low and you see a really good candle body form right at that new day opening gap high, it rejects the new day opening gap. That's a point of reference and that can help you with your entries. And when there's so few candles that you have to work with, if you go down to a 15-second chart, you have a lot more. But if you look at a 1 minute and above, which I tend to stick to the 1 minute, I don't really look at anything on the seconds chart, if I'm honest. So because there's so few candles, those points of reference, you do opening range gaps, first presented fair value gaps, opening prices, they give you so much more insight into how price is going to react. Because when I see it dips a little bit below midnight, it goes into the new day opening gap from 2 days ago, and then it starts to turn, and you see the flattening of those candle bodies. It's not displacing lower anymore. It's deciding to turn, and then I get an inversion fair value gap, and it's a black bell. Say I'm bullish on the day as well. That is such a high probability trade, and if I take that, 8 out of 10 times that's going to deliver. That's a beautiful setup, and I can get 2 or 3R, 4R, and if I hold it beyond that level, if I'm bullish on the day, I'm probably going to hold it a little bit beyond the pre-market high. You can get massive risk to reward ratio trades, but it comes from having the context of the chart and other tools like new day opening gaps, new week opening gaps, first presented fair value gaps. All these points of reference, they help you in determining price delivery. They really do. And it helps you in seeing it's reacting to this level. How is it reacting to this level? Has it just displaced through it? Or is it reacting and showing me that it wants to turn? Are the candles supporting the idea that it's going to now, after sweeping the pre-market low at 931, start to turn around and then run into the pre-market high? Because if it is, that's your model, that's your trade, that's your entry. We've already gone through some of these, but we have possible entry techniques, first presented fair value gap. You won't always get a first presented fair value gap, but sometimes you will. Other times though, you'll be operating off something else because there's not a huge amount of time when you're trading this model to see a first presented fair value gap and then see an entry with it as well. So unless there was news at 8:30, high impact news, and then it takes out pre-market low at 9:30, then that 9:30 candle can be qualified as a first presented fair value gap because you had 8:30 high impact news. Inversion fair value gap, SMT divergence, opening range gap, quadrant levels, breakaway gap, proportion block. I'm not going to teach you how to use an inversion fair value gap. I'm not going to teach you how to use a proportion block or any of this stuff. This is stuff that you can literally type into YouTube, how to use SMT, and you'll find plenty of videos on it. I've already taught SMT. I taught opening range gap, quadrant levels in the previous episode. Proportion blocks are easy, inversion fair value gaps, first presented fair value gaps. We all know this stuff. This is basics. And if you don't know it, cool, just go into YouTube, type it in, find it. I'm not going to start teaching that because it's just too basic. But you don't need every single one of these. 3 or 4 is good. If you first presented fair value gaps, order blocks, that's fine. If you opening range gap, quadrant levels, you're really good with those. And you're really good with order blocks, that's fine. You don't need every single one of these. The more you have, the better, obviously, because you'll be able to see more entries. But if you have just 2 or 3 of these, you'll be able to take pretty much every black belt model that there is. You won't be missing anything. But you'll just have more ways of entering one if you have more than 2 or 3 of these. Okay, we're now going to go through an example to look at all the different types of entries a black belt model can present. Just to brief you on this chart, you can see here is our pre-market relative equal highs. The reason I take this slightly out of the kill zone is because it's part of the move that goes into the kill zone and it's only a few minutes out. If this was 20 minutes out, of course I would not use that level, but it's only 9 or 8 minutes and it's very near to the pre-market range. So for me, I incorporate that into the pre-market range, but I do keep in mind, here's the VSP, it may not reach into the pre-market relative equal highs. Unless we see obvious signs of strength, like we were seeing here, breakaway gap is obviously going to go through the pre-market relative equal highs because of how strong it is. Okay, so you can see we've got a midnight opening price. This blue fib is our opening range gap. Coming out of the pre-market range, we see the pre-market low swept at 9:30. Then it makes a run up, takes out these 2 highs, all these highs here, and then it trades lower. Now, why would this probably have tricked out some people? Because they would have thought it was an inversion fair value gap entry. That's not an inversion fair value gap, it's just a SIBI. Why? Well, when it trades up above this SIBI, does it close above it? Yes. But by how much? Barely anything. Now you're going to see with inversion fair value gaps, when they close only slightly above, it doesn't really make them an inversion fair value gap. That could just be it coloring outside the line a little bit to keep respecting the SIBI. You want to see it give you a strong close above. Now this is especially more important to note when you see a long wick going out of the SIBI and then it closes all the way lower like this. That's generally a sign that it's just done damage on the buy side, and now it's going to respect the SIBI. So a small little body closing outside of it, that doesn't validate it as an inversion fair value gap. You need to see a strong close up above it, like this. If you had to close at this level, that would be more likely to play out, unless you see a long wick at this high. So even if it closed here, but there was a long wick like that, I never trust an inversion fair value gap that's got one of these above it, because in my opinion, it's just done because it's weaker. It's just done damage to the buy side, and then it's rejected that level and then traded lower back into the fair value gap with the intent to trade down below it again, not to treat it as an inversion fair value gap. So that's what you have to be careful with. I taught this in the Silver Bullet Mentorship, and Private Mentorship knows this stuff as well. So that's not an entry for a black belt. It runs lower, and this here is a liquidity run. But what is it running on? It takes out the London lows, and then it goes into the Asian optimal trade entry level. Now this may seem like, oh, it's hindsight, that's the only reason you can do this. I called this to the private mentorship students on the day and during the live stream. So you can ask any of them, they will all corroborate that story. I'm not just pulling this out my ass. I called every single part of this day in advance to them. Asia expanded, so when it trades lower, how far can it trade? Not to the Asian low, because we're bullish. You want to see it react to the fair value gaps or the lows inside that Asian range, which it does. It trades down into the optimal trade entry level. Look at a 5-minute chart, it's really nice and clean. Goes down into the consequent encroachment of the opening range gap. Now that's about as far as you want to see it go if you're bullish. Ideally, it doesn't even go into the consequent encroachment, it stays up in the upper quarter. If it stays in the upper half, that's still fine. It can still be bullish, but the best case scenario is when it stays in the upper quarter. You'll see much stronger moves off that. But it does trade down into the opening range gap, consequent encroachment. Now, why is that acceptable? Because yes, we're bullish, but it can be bullish and still trade lower to a certain amount. Liquidity, yes. External range liquidity, ideally no. But if it's in a case like this, where this is consolidation, it's really close to the pre-market level, that's not really my concern. Concern would be, okay, I don't want it to trade out below this low, because if it does, that to me is too far of a move lower to go higher. It shouldn't go so far against the bias. But how far can it go? Obviously the Asian internal range liquidity, and then the opening range gap consequent encroachment. We mentioned this in the last episode. This itself can be a drawn liquidity, and it gives you a large amount of narrative. We mentioned it in the last slide when we said you can enter on an opening range gap quadrant. Now you wouldn't necessarily enter when it reaches this, but it gives you conviction in the trade because it starts to turn at the consequent encroachment level. Probably random. Then we see a V-shaped reversal. Now this is more of a subjective thing, it's not a PDRA in and of itself, but you will see the cleanest reversal trades, they all have this same formation, where it's a very clean and obvious little V-shape. Trades lower and narrowly, and then it gives you a narrow run up. These will give you the cleanest reversal trades you ever see. Are you correct on your bias? Yes. You get the V-shaped reversal? Yes. Is there a drawn liquidity to the upside? Yes. Is the black belt model in effect? Yes. Then you have a very high probability trade. Very high probability. So first presented fair value gap, the reason it's not this, because this shares too large of a range with the previous candle. So a first presented fair value gap cannot be a balanced price range with the candle before it. It can be with the candle after it, because that's a fair value gap that becomes a balanced price range. But if it's like before it was never a fair value gap, it began as a balanced price range. So here, this begins as a fair value gap, it becomes a balanced price range after the fact. But the algorithmic reference point of a first presented fair value gap is already sewn in at the point it's created, and then it becomes an inversion / balanced price range. These V-shaped reversals, the reason they're effective is because they are giving you a balanced price range. Everything in this portion of the move, like everything from here to lower, this is a balanced price range. This is balanced. So it should be high resistance now for it to trade down below it, and it should start rallying into the point of lower resistance, aka liquidity that we're looking for. So you have an entry opportunity of the first presented fair value gap, you have one of this institutional entry drill, you have one of this order block, you have one of the lower quadrant, you have one on this order block, you have one on the opening range gap high, you have one on this being reclaimed, you have one on midnight. There's a ton of entries. You'll never find a reason to not, or well, you'll never fall short of finding the entries unless you're just unfamiliar with some of these PD arrays. You have to be able to identify where is the first presented fair value gap, where is the order block, is there an order block? If there isn't, what is there? Is there a change in state of delivery? Here there's no change in state of delivery until we get to the order block. Maybe you're not very familiar with order blocks, but you really like fair value gaps. You can trade this model with only fair value gaps, but you're going to miss trades. It's a lot more beneficial if you look at, or you look into order blocks and you just become accustomed to using them, and then you can look at this model and then not miss as many trades. The reason I say that, normally it wouldn't be a problem. With a silver bullet, it's not a problem, because you'll get, most of the time there will be an order block and a fair value gap, so whichever one you like and use, you'll see it. But even if there isn't, there's multiple silver bullets a day, whereas this is, there's only really one or two of these a week. So if you miss one, now you're limited to either just seeing one, or maybe going a whole week with no trade, because you're using this model only. So that's why when it's there, you don't want to miss it. That doesn't mean you have to chase it, but it means that you shouldn't be limited in how you can enter based on not knowing how an order block works. An order block is very simple. It's down close candles, that price trades up above and closes above, because it signifies a change in the state of delivery back towards the upside. I will quickly cover breakaway gaps because I'm aware that it may seem weird. How do you enter on a breakaway gap if it's going to be a breakaway gap? Now here, this is a fair value gap, but it does fall under the classification of a breakaway gap because A, it's in the original 20% of the price run. That's why you're more commonly going to see them. And it fails to meet the lower quadrant of it. That is technically a breakaway gap. But say breakaway gap was like this, and you don't get an entry. When price closes above the fair value gap, and it gives you a fair value gap, but you're looking for a black bell, you won't know that this is going to be a breakaway gap in the moment. You may think, well, I'm going to wait for the retracement into the fair value gap, I'll buy that retracement, and then I'll look for it to trade higher. Well, the problem with that is 9:30 moves so quickly, these opening minutes at least, it moves so quickly that you might not get that retracement. So what you can do, and what you should practice on the demo first, not on live funds, is enter half of the position when that fair value gap is created. So that 3 candle pattern we all know and we all love, the fair value gap, when it's created, you can enter half the position and then you can enter the other half after it retraces into it. And if it doesn't retrace into it, that's fine. You're in half the position, you don't need to add any more. You just let it run. There's nothing wrong with being in half of the normal position size that you're in, especially because it's probably going to run really quickly. Because if it's going to leave a breakaway gap, most of the time it's going to have these rapid runs where there's not a lot of retracements and it's just fast. Now, this may be a better example. Say you wanted to enter on a buy up here. You realize a black belt is going to happen and here's a fair value gap. Rather than waiting for it to trade down into that fair value gap, what you do is, second this candle closes, this is candle 1, candle 2, candle 3. The second candle 3 closes, you enter 50% of your normal position size. So if you wanted to risk 4 micros, you would enter 2 micros after this candle closes. And then if it retraces into the fair value gap, you enter the rest here, the other 2 micros. And that makes it easy to be a part of a breakaway gap move. But it also ensures that if it's not a breakaway gap, you'll still be in original position size. And if it is a breakaway gap, it'll start running, but at least you don't miss the move. You're still in with half the leverage, which is better than not being in at all. Now, I don't say that to try and get you to start chasing price. I say that so that you can broaden your perspective and start to incorporate breakaway gaps into your analysis and potentially even your entry mechanisms. Because when you see breakaway gaps, those are the times where it's going to move really quickly. When it's retracing into fair value gaps, it's going to move, yes, but it's not going to be as quick as when it leaves them open is when it's displacing. And it's going to go without giving you an entry model, or an entry. And it's going to go without giving you an entry. So you want to be a part of those moves, you have to succumb and bend the knee and say, I'm willing to compromise, I'll enter half on this candle's close, I'll enter half on the open of the order, I'll enter the other half on the retracement into the fair value gap. That way you're not missing the move. That concludes Lecture 5 of the Black Belt Model Series. Lecture 6 will be done next Sunday at the same time as this one has been released. There may be a Black Belt Model trade review in between the week if there's any Black Belt Model trades. If not, then you'll just be waiting for Lecture 6. Thank you for your interest in my signature model, and I'll see you in Lecture 6. Goodbye.